You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, that tomorrow you'll finally wake up early, that tomorrow you'll go to the gym, study, build, write, create, but tomorrow never comes, does it? Because the truth is, you're not lazy because you don't care. You're lazy because you're afraid. Afraid of failure, afraid of effort that might not pay off, afraid of becoming someone who has no excuse left. Laziness is not the absence of desire. It's the presence of fear disguised as comfort. And until you understand that, you'll keep losing to it. Every morning you fight a war that no one sees. It's not a battle with the world, but with yourself. That invisible resistance you feel when you try to get out of bed, when you open your laptop to work, when you try to make progress, that's not weakness. It's the voice of comfort. Marcus Aurelius knew this voice well. In Meditations he wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being." He reminds himself that even the ants, the bees, the birds, they all do their part, and so must he. But Marcus wasn't preaching discipline for its own sake. He understood something far deeper, that laziness is not a time problem, it's a meaning problem. You don't struggle to act because you have no time. You struggle because you don't see a reason worth suffering for. Modern psychology calls it acrasia, acting against your better judgment. You know what you should do, but you don't do it. You want to be productive, but you scroll endlessly, letting hours dissolve into nothingness. Why? Because your brain prefers the illusion of control over the discomfort of growth. When you procrastinate, you protect yourself from the pain of inadequacy. If you never start, you can't fail. If you never try, you can't fall short. But here's the cruel paradox. The longer you avoid, the heavier the burden becomes. You don't just lose time, you lose trust in yourself. You start to believe you can't change, and that's when laziness transforms into despair. Nietzsche said once, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. But if your why fades, every how feels unbearable." That's the silent decay most people call laziness. It's a loss of purpose disguised as fatigue. We wait for motivation like sailors waiting for the wind. But the Stoics would tell you, the wind is irrelevant. You row anyway. Epictetus taught that freedom isn't doing what you feel like. It's doing what you must, regardless of how you feel. He said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Think about that. How often have you betrayed yourself because you felt tired, uninspired, or not in the mood? You let your emotions dictate your actions, and in doing so, you become their servant. The Stoic doesn't wait for energy. He creates momentum through action. Action breeds clarity. Clarity breeds purpose. Purpose breeds strength. You don't defeat laziness by feeling more inspired. You defeat it by moving, especially when you don't want to. The story of the prisoner and the king. There's an old parable of a prisoner who spent years digging his way out of captivity. Each night he'd dig just a few inches before the guards woke. He didn't know when he'd reach the end, only that each stroke of the shovel mattered. One night, after what felt like eternity, his hand finally broke through the soil into open air. He climbed out, tasted freedom, and realized the prison had long been abandoned. He had been free to leave for years, but he kept digging out of habit. That's the tragedy of most people today. We're prisoners of comfort, not walls. Our laziness keeps us trapped in cages that no longer exist. We wait for permission to live, to act, to begin, when the door has been open all along. Comfort is the new chains. We live in an age of infinite ease. Everything you want, food, entertainment, validation, is just one tap away. And yet we've never felt so empty. Seneca warned us 2,000 years ago, softness comes from luxury. It weakens the soul. He saw what we are living now, that comfort, when worshipped, becomes a quiet form of slavery. Laziness thrives not in poverty, but in abundance. Because abundance removes necessity, and necessity is what forges strength. When everything is easy, effort feels unnatural. When pleasure is instant, patience feels unbearable. When the world tells you to treat yourself, Stoicism whispers, discipline yourself. That's how you become free again. So how do you break free? How do you defeat laziness when it feels like part of who you are? The Stoics would tell you to stop making it emotional. Don't ask, do I feel like it? Ask, is this the right thing to do? Action must come before motivation, not after. When you wake up and don't want to rise, rise anyway. When your mind says later, do it now. When fear tells you it's not worth it, act precisely because of that fear. Each time you choose action over avoidance, you reclaim a piece of your power. And soon you stop needing motivation altogether. You become what Marcus called a human being fulfilling his nature. You stop asking for easier tasks and start becoming a stronger person. The pain of staying the same. There's a moment every person faces. The realization that laziness isn't rest, it's decay. When you lie in bed scrolling through distractions, your soul isn't resting, it's starving. Rest is earned through effort. Pleasure is meaningful only after pain. Without struggle, even joy feels hollow. The Stoics didn't pursue discipline because they were masochists. They did it because they understood that a life without resistance produces no depth. The oak tree grows roots only because of the storm. The mind grows strong only because of the challenge. And the soul grows wise only because it has suffered and endured. Laziness is simply the refusal to grow. An uncomfortable truth. Here's the part no one wants to admit. Most people don't want freedom. They want comfort. Freedom demands effort, responsibility, self-mastery. Comfort demands nothing but your surrender. That's why you'll always find an excuse. That's why you'll rationalize another wasted day. Because deep down part of you likes being lazy. It keeps you safe from risk, from judgment, from the weight of potential. But if you continue to live that way, what are you becoming? Every day you delay, your dreams die a little. Every time you avoid the challenge, the part of you capable of greatness weakens. Soon there's nothing left but regret. And regret is a heavier chain than laziness ever was. The turning point. The moment you understand this, you have a choice. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now. You can continue seeking comfort and stay trapped in quiet misery. Or you can embrace discomfort and discover what you're truly capable of. The Stoics remind us you cannot control the world, but you can always control your response to it. And that includes your response to laziness. Every time you act when you don't feel like it, you are reshaping who you are. You are rewriting your story from victim to creator. You are proving to yourself that you are not weak, not broken, not lazy. You are simply untrained. And training begins now. Conclusion. The Stoic victory. Laziness doesn't vanish overnight. It dies slowly. Each time you choose purpose over pleasure, meaning over distraction, growth over comfort. The Stoic path is not about becoming emotionless. It's about mastering your impulses so that what you want most always outweighs what you want now. You are not meant to drift. You are meant to rise, to build, to endure, to become the kind of person your past self dreamed you could be. So tomorrow morning, when the comfort of the bed whispers for you to stay, remember Marcus, remember Seneca, remember Epictetus, and remind yourself, I was not made for comfort. I was made to act. Because that is how the Stoic defeats laziness, not through feeling, but through choice. Not through motivation, but through mastery. Not tomorrow, but today.